Hey there, YouTubers. It's Luis. I hope everybody's doing well. Happy New Year. I hope that we leave everything about 2020 behind and we move forward. Last year was a very hard year for everyone. I don't care who you were, what industry you were in. It was bad. And of course, it's one of those things that you just don't plan for. Who would have thought that a pandemic would shut the world down? But we made it this far, and the only thing we can do is continue to push forward. But I'd like to thank everybody who's reached out to me, asking about my well-being and where have I been. I've been well. I'm still in business. I moved my business to another state, as many of you know. I won't state what state I'm in just because I've created such a target on my back with this channel that a lot of motor clubs put me on banned lists. They want nothing to do with me. The last one, of course, being Honk, because they got their panties in a bunch because I called them out on the amount of money they're taking from us service providers, and they didn't like that. But anyways, I'm not losing sleep over it. But I came down here in October. I came down with a game plan. Game plan was I'm going to knock on some motor club doors just to get some cash flow coming in and then push them aside at about the 6-month mark. Well, it took about 2 weeks before I started pushing them aside. And I noticed quickly, I go, man, this is just not for me. I can't do this motor club work. It's just too much leg work, not enough pay. It's a headache. So I ended up aggressively going after retail customers, and I did that utilizing Google Ads. When I first got down here, I think I set the threshold for Google Ads at about $200 a month, and I noticed that I was generating pretty good revenue. So I said, you know what? Let's go balls to the wall, and I set the threshold at $1,500 a month, and the return on investment was great on the medium duty side of things. Light duty was a tough sale down here just because you got guys doing in-town tows for about $35 when I'm at $90. So I was probably getting 20% of the calls that came through for light duty, but it was a tough sale, and I had to have luck on my side, such as quicker ETAs, and that was a huge deal, was prompt service. I guess a lot of these people called around trying to get the best deal, and they ended up waiting longer than they should have. But I found light duty to be tough. Medium duty, 9 out of 10 times, nobody negotiated with me. They just wanted the job done, and more so commercial vehicles. These people needed to get to work. They needed to finish their deliveries. And that's kind of when things started to, when I started to understand, like, maybe a light duty, I should just get away from it. So then I shifted my focus to medium. I'm actually in the process of buying a heavy. I'm hoping to have a heavy here within the next couple of weeks. It's the light duty. The light duty market is too saturated. And another thing I noticed was, and I have said this in other videos, that in this industry you need to not just focus on one aspect of towing or just towing in general. If you're going to do towing, you need to do light and medium, or light, medium, and heavy, and not just rely on one, especially light duty. Because what ended up happening was, when they started these shutdowns and they issued the stay-at-home orders, and the only people that were allowed to drive were essential employees, 90% of the population just stopped driving. So what happened? Those guys that did light duty towing had no work coming in. And then that's when the layoffs started, the downsizing of equipment. But I can tell you one thing that didn't stop, and I even noticed this in New York, was when all that happened, I was getting a lot more calls for medium duty towing. And when I mean medium duty towing, F-350s, Kona line vans, Isuzu cab overs, those Amazon trucks, UPS, FedEx trucks. I started to get more of those. And, I just ran the numbers. I said, this is so much easier than just doing cars all day. So down here, my focus went back to, maybe I should just do medium and heavy. And it's been very, very lucrative so far. I am actually doing better numbers now in my first few months of business than I was doing when I first got into business 7 years ago. I'm not running nearly as many calls as I did when I first started, and my calls is so much more profitable. So for instance, yesterday was a slow day, and I did one call. Now, for me, on the light duty side, and I'm just going to say, if it was a motor club call, I would have had to do 10 of those motor club calls to make the same amount of money. 10 light duty calls, and let's just say local, within this town, within a 10-mile radius. That's a full day's worth of work. And most people are going to say, well, it's not a full day's worth of work. It's a full day's worth of work if you strap the vehicles down properly, and not drive like a maniac. So just to put things into perspective, that, that light duty motor club stuff, it's something you got to get away from. It's, you're running your trucks in the ground. They're telling what they're going to pay you. And FYI, when I signed up to a couple of these motor clubs, things have changed since 7-8 years ago when I first signed up with them. For instance, a Gero down here, and this might be different in other parts of the country. Gero don't negotiate for first-time service providers. Also, roadside assistance calls, your jump starts, lockouts, and whatnot, no route mileage. It's a flat rate. These guys are paying you $25 to drive 30 miles to do a jump start. And the scary thing is, you got guys that are taking it. Another thing, too, big shakeup in the industry was Urgently. When I got on with Urgently here, I had a contract with them, retail rates. I was busy. I made some money with them. And then they pulled a honk. They pulled a 180. And they pretty much said, oh, contracts are null and void. You're going to get what we offer you. And now, that flat tire change that I was charging them $90 for, now it's coming through at $28. And the scary thing is, you got guys that are taking them. They're taking these calls, 30 miles away for $50. And moving high-end cars, they deal with Mercedes and Volvo and Jaguar. And you got guys moving these cars for $50. It's scary. It's only making things worse. And I can tell you what's going to happen is a lot of providers are wising up, and they're not taking the calls. So what's going to end up happening is Urgently is not going to be able to come up with their end of the deal for these contracts. Contracts are going to be terminated, where at the end of the contracts, these manufacturers are going to go with somebody else. And who are they going to end up with? They're going to end up with a Gero. And then things are going to get even worse. So, as many of you know, a Gero acquired Road of America back in August. Now, Road of America was actually a decent paying motor club. And it was a lot of medium duty and commercial vehicles. They have the Spectrum vehicles. They have, the A&E, AR, they were affiliated with ARI and stuff. And those were great paying calls. And I can tell you this, that Road America really never jerked me around with payment. They were usually pretty good. But now that Gero acquired them, it's scary. And it's only a matter of time where Gero acquires Urgently or Urgently accounts. And before you know it, there's going to be two heavy hitters in the game. And they're going to dictate everything. So, taking those $28 calls ain't doing much but hurting the industry. Focus on the retail business and focus on yourself, because a lot of companies went under, because guess what? Those motor clubs were the ones feeding them, and they got lazy. They never put the legwork in. They never went out and got their own retail customers. Since I've been down here, I have managed to secure Gerber Collisions 8 of their locations, and 8 of their locations with no middleman involved, because Allstate is involved with Gerber Collisions towing. Me, I went down to one location, sold my services, guaranteed them damage-free towing, and that I was going to be there when they needed me. And now I deal directly with the managers of each location. No middleman taking a cut. They're not paying retail, but they're not paying me motor club rates. I'm making money either way. And guess what? They keep me busy. And usually when I tow for them, it's doubles. So the way I shifted my business is I'm going to keep them around as a light duty account. I'm going to use my medium duty flatbed to run them. And I'm just going to focus on medium and heavy. So I'm hoping that in the next couple weeks I should have a heavy in my yard here. And I'm not looking back to the light duty. So I appreciate everybody that supports this channel, and I'm sorry that I've been very quiet and things haven't been, I haven't been posting videos. I got more videos coming, but like I said, I need to kind of lay low for a little bit, just so I don't ruffle feathers. and hit like and subscribe. And if anybody's got any questions, leave me a comment. And FYI, there's going to be some changes to the channel. We're going to do away with the on-site towing and recovery. We're going to change the name to something else. I'm going to try to separate the channel from my business, just because I get a lot of phone calls and stuff at the business line, and unfortunately, I just don't have the time nor the manpower to run the trucks and answer the phone calls and give people advice. And so there's going to be a couple changes and stuff. I'm going to try to get some more. I'm going to try to start editing these videos to make them a little more appeasing to you guys. And there's going to be a lot of good changes for 2021. And anyways, thank you for supporting the channel. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you again.